Yo, I'm Bob. Into Star Wars, happened to be totally blind since birth, talking about episode 1 of Ahsoka on Disney Plus. Spoilers ahead, so please watch the show before watching this video, or wow, you're really gonna get spoiled. If you don't mind though, that's fine too. Just do what you do. That being said, jumping right in, and you were warned. So, part 1 is called Master and Apprentice. And right when the audio description track kicked in and the Cole Zanzarella starts narrating the opening crawl, I got serious Star Wars movie vibes because we really haven't gotten an opening crawl in live action before. And it really felt like sitting in the movie theater as opposed to everybody sitting in our homes watching this show. I'm getting serious movie vibes with Ahsoka since it premiered. So when we get to see Baylan and Shin for the first time, by the way, the audio description track script calls them false Jedi whenever both of them appear on screen at the same time. I don't know if Lucasfilm and the script writers for the AD tracks are working hand in hand with that title, but I kind of like that. They call them false Jedi even after they mow everyone down at the beginning of episode 1. But I love when they showed up on this ship. For me, it felt like a much darker antithesis of the scene in episode 1, The Phantom Menace, where we see Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan boarding the Trade Federation battleship, and they're mowing down battle droids. In this situation, they're mowing down people, and they're letting no one stand in their way. I feel bad for the Republic captain because Mark Rolston is one of my favorite animated series voice actors. He's been in Young Justice as Lex Luthor. He was also in Injustice as Lex Luthor. So it was kind of neat to see him show up in live action. And, well, he didn't make it. He was on the receiving end of Baylan's lightsaber there. Of course, that was the guy in the trailer. I didn't know who that was, even though the trailer was audio described when that came out. But yeah, so poor Mark. I like that we get to see Morgan Elsbeth again. We haven't seen Morgan since Ahsoka's live action debut in late 2020 when she showed up in The Mandalorian. So nice to see Diana Lee Inosanto show up at the beginning of this episode. They need her because she knows this and that and that and this about Grand Admiral Thrawn's location. And I love what they did with her character background later in the episode, but we'll get to that. And I like how episode 1 is called Master and Apprentice. For me, I mean, I think of Ahsoka and Sabine, but I'm also thinking of Baylan and Shin. And after the opening title, we of course get to see our main protagonist, Ahsoka, and we get to see Arcana for the first time. If it's in the comics, I don't know about any of that. There's only so much I can read about weeks at a time when it comes to Star Wars. If this is the first time we've seen this planet, well, that's awesome. I love that it is an ancient Night Sister stronghold, and I liked seeing Ahsoka playing Jedi Temple Challenge, trying to get that star map she needs as she's attempting to solve the puzzle. She does eventually do that, of course, and she has what she needs. Apparently, she didn't use the standard Jedi methods when questioning Morgan Elsbeth about where the star map to Thrawn's location was. I love the HK droids. As she's jumping up out of there, we get a really short and sweet duel with them. These guys mean business. I like their deep, menacing, demonic voices as each of them are saying the word us as they're showing up. It's kind of creepy. And they have electrostabs too, so that made me think of the Magna Guards from the Clone Wars. But Ahsoka, of course, she makes short work of them. I like how she sends a couple of them down into the hole there. And then she pops right back up out of there and dispatches the last of them. Speaking of droids, I loved seeing Huyang again. We haven't seen him since the Youngling arc in season 5 of the Clone Wars. And if he's shown up in any of the comics, I haven't read those synopses yet online. I'm sure he has, though. If not, wow, it's good to see this character again. Good to hear him, if you're me. I love David Tennant as an actor. I've loved him in Ninja Turtles as the Fugitoid. I haven't seen his incarnation of Doctor Who yet, but I plan on getting to that. Loved him in Jessica Jones too. So I really enjoy him playing in the Star Wars sandbox immensely. There is such a history to this droid. I mean, he's been around for centuries. So whenever he shows up on screen, I always wonder, I mean, how many younglings has this guy trained? What little bits and bobs of information does he know about certain characters? I would read a book from this guy's perspective, from this droid's perspective, if it was released. He's just such an interesting character. Kind of reminds me of Ollivander, too, from the HP books. The way that he talks about lightsabers. This guy can tell you anything and everything about lightsaber designs and all that. It is really good to see the characters from Star Wars Rebels once again. It feels like it has been a decade, even though it hasn't, since that show ended. And seeing Hera, or hearing her in my own way, seeing her, I guess, in live action is quite special. I really enjoy Mary Elizabeth Winstead's portrayal of Hera, and the scene where she makes her live action debut. I think it was pretty well done. Liked how Ahsoka and Hera were discussing needing an artist's eye to decipher the star map. So of course that brings Sabine Wren into play. And then we get to go to Lothal. It's interesting seeing Ryder Azadi as Lothal's governor. I didn't really trust him when he first showed up in Rebels. I like him even better now, and I love that they got Clancy Brown to play Ryder in live action, because of course he voices him in Rebels. And I was thinking when I first started hearing the announcements as he was making them during the remembrance ceremony, I was like, oh, that sounds like Clancy Brown. I wonder if that's Ryder. And of course, that's exactly who that was. Nice to see Jaquel from Rebels in live action. Of course, Sabine is not there to say any little speeches during the ceremony. She's off doing her own thing. I love that heavy metal theme that plays as she's riding her bike. The E-Wings showing up in live action. I absolutely love the E-Wings. I first heard about those in the Dark Empire audio adaptation from the comics in the 90s. I love the E-Wings during the Battle of Mon Calamari in those comics. I always wanted them to make an E-Wing when it came to Hasbro vehicles, but we never got them. So neat seeing those showing up in live action for the first time. I think Natasha Lou Bordizzo makes a fantastic live-action Sabine. One individual who I was watching Ahsoka with mentioned when they first saw her, oh, she's got long hair. If she gets into a fight, somebody can really mess her up. She needs to cut her hair. I will always remember that little outburst there. So I don't remember if the audio description track let me know that she had long hair right away. I think the script writers did. I think that was in there. So that was an interesting little tidbit that got pointed out to me by the track, as well as the individual commenting on Sabine's long hair. Apparently, you do not want long hair when you're in a fight with somebody. The scene where Morgan and Balin and Shin are on Arcana, and we learn that Morgan is in fact a Night Sister, a witch of Dathomir, or at least is a descendant of them, a survivor. I think she's a Night Sister. I mean, we pretty much found out that she is. I love that quite a bit. I think it was going around hither and thither that she very well could be So it's great to have that confirmed. That was probably my favorite scene from the show, and I love Morgan's new look. She's, all dressed in red. She's got that new hairdo, and I really want to see her get into another fight because this Dathomiri witch can hold her own. So I can't wait to see what else she gets up to. The armored figure, the third figure, Marok. I know what theories are going around about this guy. I kind of hope that he doesn't turn out to be Ezra, because as far as we know, Ezra got purgiled right along with Thrawn. So unless Thrawn has figured out how to access Infinity Gate technology from Legends, and he can, teleport people here and there, I would imagine Ezra's still with Thrawn. I would think that he would have to have found some insane brainwashing technology to sway Ezra like that. He could be Ezra. It seems a little too predictable for my taste, though. I remember when the trailer came out and the armored figure was shown, everybody started theorizing, oh yeah, that's Ezra, that's definitely Ezra. I hope it's Cal or possibly Galen Merrick or someone like that. But if it's Ezra, what are you going to do? I really hope that's not, because it's the whole Winter Soldier thing all over again. Yeah, hoping it's not Ezra. I don't know what he'd be doing otherwise. Maybe frozen in carbonite via Thrawn. Maybe Thrawn's just having endless art shows showing Ezra various pieces of art day in and day out. I have no idea where Ezra is. Hopefully still with Thrawn, though. I like how Morgan figures out that Ahsoka has indeed taken the star map. She kind of does her witchy woman force ability doobly-doo. She's like, oh yeah, Ahsoka's got the map, so you need to send Shin to Lothal. She needs to track down Sabine. She doesn't even bat an eye. She's like, yeah, just go ahead and send her there. So that is what Baylan does, and Shin is off to see Sabine. When Sabine meets Ahsoka, I like that things are a bit tense, and we don't need to know exactly what happened when it comes to the falling out right away. I like that they're keeping that a bit of a mystery. As I'm filming this video, only the first 2 episodes have aired, so we don't know about that yet. But I like that they're keeping that under wraps. Hera later mentions to Ahsoka that, yeah, she is stubborn. She's a Mandalorian, and she's going to do what she's going to do. It's not easy mentoring anybody. So, Ahsoka doesn't necessarily get a very willing artist's eye. Sabine is rather distracted while she's in the ship, so she decides to steal the star map and go scan it back home with her Lothcat. I forgot to mention that I absolutely love Sabine's pet. I like that they use normal cat trills and meows for the Lothcats, but whenever they get extremely ticked off, it sounds as if Skywalker Sound is using pitched up cougar growls and spitting sounds for the little Lothcats whenever we've seen them in Rebels and now in live action. I really love this pet, and he's got quite a lot of personality, or maybe it's a she. I don't know the gender of the Lothcat, but it's one of my favorite parts of the episode, just because I'm a cat person, and good to know that Sabine is as well. And of course, she does eventually figure out how to get the star map to correspond with the symbols on the hologram of the chamber floor, and she manages to unlock it. And wouldn't you know it, that's when we get to see our HK droid showing up. And this droid that shows up in her quarters and just starts breaking things, he's got problems. But we get another duel with Sabine and the droids. It's actually the first duel with her. We haven't seen her fight yet. I'm thinking of Ahsoka. But I love that bit where she takes Ezra's lightsaber there, and she really goes to town on the droids. Boy, does she ever go to town on the droids. So when it comes to the lightsaber duel between Sabine and Shin at the end of the episode, I like that it was no walk in the park for Sabine at all. When we find out in the trailer that Sabine is Ahsoka's apprentice, I never thought that Sabine would really exhibit a great deal of force ability because we never really saw that in Rebels. I feel like if Dave and the writers wanted to mention that, they probably would have. I wonder if Sabine is more along the lines of folks like Lor Santeca not really having any force ability. But I mean, who knows? There are unorthodox ways when it comes to Ahsoka. Ahsoka has said more than once that she's no Jedi, so I'm not really sure what is going on with Ahsoka taking Sabine on as an apprentice. But I like this interesting new wrinkle in Star Wars lore and can't wait to learn more about it. So the lightsaber duel was very grueling to watch or listen to in my case. I'm going to say watch because I like that better. Shin is toying with Sabine from the start of the duel. She knows Sabine is going to be pretty easy to deal with, or at least she thinks she is. I think Sabine can hold her own, but I mean, when it comes to dealing with someone with Shin's force ability, it's not going to be easy for Sabine. It's like a video game on hardcore difficulty. It is quite difficult for her. And then when she gets stabbed right at the end of the duel there was a brief second when I was thinking, okay, is this going to be it? Of course it wasn't. I mean, they wouldn't just kill a character off at the end of the first episode of a TV show, would they? Then, of course, I'm thinking of Maria Hill and Secret Invasion. I think that's what got me just a little squirrely when Sabine got stabbed there. I was thinking, are we done with this character? I really hope not. And of course not. She's okay. So thanks to Sabine doing her own thing, the bad guys have the star map, and they're going to be headed to where Grand Admiral Thrawn is holed up in another galaxy. And hopefully, well, if you're on the Empire side of things, Thrawn will galvanize the Imperial remnant and start another war. So that's not good at the end of the episode. And I love how the first one ends on a cliffhanger. I think the coolest characters for me are, of course, Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I love the new bad guys. I think Ray Stevenson, may he rest in peace, did a fantastic job as Baylan Skoll. And I really liked Ivanna Sakhno as Shin. Can't wait to see more of this character, as well as the armored individual. He does show up in episode 2, I should say. We'll be talking about part 2, Toil and Trouble, next time. I don't want to make this video an uber long video, so I'm going to be, doing it episode by episode, because there's just so much to go over. One more thing, when it comes to star maps, I couldn't help thinking of the Rakatan Empire from Legends. When it comes to those ancient alien races, I've read about those on Wikipedia quite a long time ago. So when you think of temples and star maps and ancient technology, I mean, I can't help thinking of the Rakatans. We'll get into more of that in episode 2 because Morgan has a little more to say on things from other galaxies and ancient technologies and whatnot. So can't wait to get into Toil and Trouble next time. Hopefully episode 2, that summary will be up the Saturday or Sunday prior to episode 3 of Ahsoka. It's really been a stressful week around here. Too much noise in my neck of the woods, so it's been quite difficult to film things. I'm thankful to have gotten this one done. And that'll do for my review or recap of episode 1. And I'll hear you guys in the next video. May the Force be with you.